Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and I just got done watching, for the very first time, Despicable Me. I assume the blue? I mean, you can barely tell that's blue, but I'm just gonna say it's blue. Blue. I'm blue and da dee doom da. Now, if you're wondering why, why am I just now watching Despicable Me? Why did you bother, right? If you haven't seen it in damn near 15 years, goddamn. It's been that long since Despicable Me came out, 2010. Well, I guess Despicable Me is one of those franchises that has been around for so long. I've seen so many trailers, promotions, especially those damn minions, that it's always been in the back of my head of like, someday, one day, I'm probably going to sit down and watch these goddamn movies. And I keep seeing advertisements for the fourth film that's coming out, and I can't believe there's been that many. So I said, F it. Just sit down, peel the band-aid off real fast, watch the first movie, at least that one, to see, is it any good? You know, I've been in recent years trying to watch animated films for the first time, and you'd be surprised, if you haven't seen those reviews, how many of them I quite enjoyed, and enjoyed a lot, and was very glad that I took the time to watch those movies. So this time around, this is made by Illumination, and I don't know if Illumination is known for doing a lot of like other successful animation. Like what else did they do? Maybe you guys in the comments can let me know. I probably should have looked it up. This stars Steve Carell as Gru, and I think the premise of this movie alone had me interested. The fact that Gru was a villain. You know, you have a kids animated movie following this a-hole piece of crap villain who is doing some of the dirtiest things, stealing landmarks and artifacts and big giant, well, maybe not the biggest Eiffel Tower, right? It's the Vegas version, or the Statue of Liberty, the Vegas version, but at least he's still causing mayhem, he's still causing chaos. The opening of him going to that coffee shop and freezing everybody so that he could skip the line, sure, it's amusing, but I couldn't help but wonder, are those people who are frozen, did they just die? Like, do they unthaw and they're okay? I'm going off of like Mr. Freeze logic of they only have 8 minutes or so before they freeze to death. That wasn't explained. That wasn't talked about. And you see that Gru is basically trying to pay back all of the money that he has used from this villainy bank. That's kind of hilarious, right? To have this sort of societal thing going on, this arrangement where this bank, specifically for villains, they give them money so that they can go out and do stuff and then maybe pay them back, and it's a back and forth process. Well, Gru has not been paying it back. He's well behind, so he's feeling pressured in order to do something drastic, something crazy, like, I don't know, stealing the moon. And so while that's going on, we get introduced to these 3 little girls, Edith, Agnes, and Margot. And you see at first they're just selling like, what, Girl Scout cookies or whatever. You find out that they're living in an orphanage, and Gru ends up adopting them. And so, of course, by that point, I figured out how this movie was going to go. By that point, I figured, okay, he's a bad guy, but he has these little girls in his life who are going to warm his heart and make him into a better person. And even though that all happened, I will say that I enjoyed myself watching this film. I was not bored, I was not mad, I was not angry, and I found myself chuckling and getting a couple laughs throughout this film. I think Steve Carell, whatever voice and accent or whatever thing he's doing to himself to sound like this Gru character, I liked and appreciated. You know, I like his snarkiness. I like how he just doesn't give a crap about anybody else. And that's a character that, for whatever reason, we are in a time period where villains, bad people, are the most interesting characters to follow in a movie or a TV show, and I think this character lives up to that. Jason Segel, surprisingly, I didn't realize it was Jason Segel until the end credits, does the voice of a character named Vector, who is the opposite villain. They're both villains, kind of, right? But he's the one that's competing with Gru. Russell Brand, again, another voice that I did not catch. He plays like the assistant, this old guy that works with Gru. And the head of the bank that I talked about, the Bank of Evil, is voiced by Will Arnett. And I thought I knew Will Arnett's voice, but again, it's one of those ones where I'm like, oh, that was Will Arnett. Okay, interesting. Gru's mom is voiced by Julie Andrews. That just the fact that she did that was kind of amusing in and of itself. And the head of the orphanage, the woman, is voiced by Kristen Wiig, who they probably could have done a lot more with. If I'm being honest, Kristen Wiig is a big enough actress that, like, come on, it's Kristen Wiig. Now, the three girls, they could have been more annoying. They could have been sort of the obvious trope, and they were a trope, but I ended up liking them. I ended up sort of appreciating where they were at their age and how they weren't as scared as you would think to walk into Gru's house and sort of be adopted by him. They tried to make the best of it, and especially the one girl, the youngest girl, she was all about Gru potentially being their father, and the whole pinky swear for him to come to the the dance thing. I mean, I was a sucker for that. The Minions, again, I fully expected to hate them. I fully expected to despise them. I fully expected to walk out of this review and say, I want to kill all the Minions. But actually, they were such a small part of this movie. I mean, they had their bits. They had their moments where I could definitely find myself being annoyed of them because it's very silly, very goofy. They don't even speak English. They just make weird sounds and noises, and they pratfall and act like the Three Stooges. But they were so inconsequential to the story and this plot that I said, they're harmless. I really had no other reaction to them. I fully expect, though, that the more we go on and the more popular they get in pop culture, I will get sick of them. I fully expect myself to get to that point to be more angry. I'm not there yet, though. The music producer of this film is Pharrell, and I wanted to mention him because I found some of the music choices kind of head scratching. I mean, they were all decent songs, but like at the beginning, we see characters who are visiting Egypt and they're playing songs that just don't really fit, like Sweet Home Alabama. I'm like, wait, why are they playing that song if these characters are in Egypt? Or throughout the movie, there's just a bunch of songs that are just well-known songs, and they're playing them just because they're catchy or just because it's a kid's movie, and it just felt kind of out of place. Either way, I'm going to say I enjoyed Despicable Me. I did not hate it. I was not upset. I think it's a decent time waster, even if you're not watching it with kids, which probably sounds a little odd. But let me know in the comments below if you too have seen Despicable Me. What did you think of it? Did you like it as well? Should I continue the series? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!